Welcome. Today we're going to make the basic part creation exercise 2, Revolve. This one we're going to make this wheel here, this pulley or wheel. We're going to create a symmetric sketch using the mirror entities command. We're going to add diameter dimensions in our sketch, and we're going to create a revolved part out of that sketch. So we don't want to create anything directly from here. We want to look at our directions, and it says create a new part and change length units to millimeters and mass units to grams. In order to do so, we're going to have to go into the document properties menu. So if I go to home, I'm going to create a new file. I click on the arrow next to new. I click on part. And then from here, I want to go to the top and I want to click on the tools tab right here. And then I want to click on document settings. And a window pops up. And that window allows us to change all kinds of different factors and parameters for our object, for our file. This only affects this file. So if I click on units and I change inch to millimeter and I change mass to grams, this is going to make it very important so we don't have to put the mm at the end of each of our measurements. And it's going to make sure that we get the right volume and the right mass when we're all finished. So once I'm finished, I can click OK, and then I'll apply those changes. And then I go back over to my sketch or to my slideshow, and it says create a new 2D sketch on the XY plane. Looks like it's this one that's highlighted. It's highlighted green. And reorient your view so the front reads horizontally on the view cube. That's if necessary. I think by default Inventor does that for us. So I go over here to the 3D model tab. I click start 2D sketch and I find my XY plane. And now I look up here at my view cube and it says front and it reads the proper way, right? It reads horizontally. So then I go back over and I check and it says that I'm going to need to make this particular sketch. Looks like I have to make these blue lines. Those are my object lines. And then I have to make these as my center lines. So I'm going to go and create those, and I'm going to make sure that this right here winds up on my center point when I make this. So I'm going to create a line, and this line is going to go along my x-axis, and I want it to be a construction line, so I want to make sure that this is toggled on right here. And I am going to start here. The length of the line does not matter, so I'm going to click and drag my line across, and then I release it, and then I can right click and hit escape, or I can hit the escape key on my keyboard. Just to make sure that this line stays where it needs to, I'm going to use the collinear constraint. So I'm going to select the line after selecting my collinear constraint, and I'm going to select the x-axis, and you can see now it's collinear with that x-axis. I'm going to draw another line. I'm going to start here on the y-axis, and I'm going to draw down the y-axis until it's perpendicular and it touches the other construction line that I created. And I'm going to make this collinear. So I click the collinear constraint, and then I'm going to click the line, then I click the y-axis, and now this is locked into the y-axis. So from here, I need to make that other drawing. So I'm going to click the line tool again. I'm going to toggle off my construction lines. And then I'm going to click here along this y-axis along my construction line, and I'm going to just draw that profile really quickly, trying to keep my lines horizontal and vertical as I draw. And then when I come back to the bottom, I want to make sure that I don't actually draw my line collinear with my x-axis, with my construction line. So now that I have this profile, I can now mirror that profile as per the directions. So if I look here, it says I want to mirror these lines about this construction line. So my construction line is right here. I click on my mirror tool, and it wants me to first select the geometry I want to mirror. So I got to select all the lines that I want to mirror, which would be all of my purple lines that are not construction lines. Then I click on the mirror line button and I click on my vertical construction line. Then I hit apply, and I can see my shape right there. Then I hit done. So now I have my mirrored profile for my revolve. So then I click on my next slide, and it says I need to add all these dimensions as shown. So I see this 100, 75, and then 40. So I'm going to take my dimension tool, and I'm going to dimension the base to be 100. Then I'm going to dimension this outer portion of the fork to be 75. and I'm going to dimension the inner portion to be 40. And I can always zoom in and out just to make it a little bit easier for me to see. And now if you use center lines, if you change this to a center line, I didn't show that, but if you change this to a center line, when you put in these dimensions, they're going to need to be double of what's shown here. I just use the construction line instead of that center line option. So the first one I'm going to put in is at 12.5. So I'm going to put my dimension tool from this line to this line. It's going to be 12.5. That's my first dimension. My second one is going to be from that horizontal line up, and that's 37.5. So I draw that one in, 37.5. So I click both the lines, and then I put 37. I need to put 37.5. My next line is 82.5. So I go to this horizontal line and I type 82.5. And I can see that my geometry got a little bit distorted. That's okay. So that was at 82.5. This one's 100. And you'll see things will fix themselves. And then the last one is 125. Now what I should see here is that the whole object is fully constrained. One of the issues you might run into, I like to hit the escape key as you're messing with this, is you might be able to move these around. If you see in the next direction, it says add a collinear constraint between the circled lines and the lines immediately above / below. So this vertical line right here that's circled should be collinear with this line, and then this line should be collinear with the line right below it. So these should just line up with one another, right? So if we go back over, I can see that mine's fully constrained. If you need to add that constraint, that's this collinear constraint that we were using before. So I click that, then I click one of the vertical lines and the other vertical line, and it should take it. Otherwise, you might get this over-constrain the sketch, or you might get a pop-up that says that it already exists. So I can also check this one really quick, and it looks like that one already exists as well, or it's over-constrained if I add it to it. So we're good here. So I'm fully defined, and now I can finish my sketch. So I click Finish Sketch, and I want to zoom out by clicking the middle of my view cube here. Where did it go? There we go. Click in the middle of my view cube or clicking the home button, just like that. And now, this is where the easy part is. I'm going to use my Revolve feature, and I'm going to do 360 degrees, so it's going to go full circle, and I'm going to use that middle axis as my Revolve axis. So I go back over to my sketch, to my part, sorry. I click on the Revolve tool. It automatically picks up this profile. It knows that's what I want to have. So you see over here it says one profile. If I wanted to choose a different profile, I would be able to choose, I'd be able to X this out and choose a different profile, or I can add profiles to the list. Then I want to select my axis. You see the blue line means that is already highlighted, so it's waiting for that input, and it tells me so down here at the bottom where it says select axis. So I want to select this horizontal axis, and once I do, you'll see the wheel pops up, just like so. You can also change the number of degrees. We don't need to for this one, but if we say went 220, you can see that what the results would be for that, right? It just takes that profile and it kind of spins it around. So I'm going to go back over here and click on this button here. That'll go 360 degrees. And now once I'm finished, I click OK, and my part is finished. Now I go back over to my instructions, and it says I need to change the material to ABS plastic. Then I have to do the whole eye properties. So I go over here to my generic up top, and I click this drop down, and I go to the very, very top. It's the first one, ABS plastic. You see it kind of turns like a light gray color. And now I can go to my eye properties. I can either right click on my part, go to eye properties, and I have my window pop up here. I go over to physical and I click update, and you can see I have a mass of 2,588.831 grams and a volume of 2,442,293.764 millimeters cubed. So we can check that up against the values that are stated here. Looks like they match. So now I want to take a full screen screenshot of all of this so I can see the browser, I can see the part, I can see that you hit update here, and I can see what the value is. And then once I'm done that, I can close it and I can save it. I would call this, you know, exercise Revolve, I guess. Exercise. And then now you have it just in case something happens. Let me know if you need any more help. Thank you very much.